Taoiseach, I'd like to take a few moments to say what a great honour it is for us to have on Taoiseach visiting Canada for the first time. First time we've had a Taoiseach visit Ireland Park. And of course on an occasion like this, we go to great lengths to create Irish authenticity. And for the Taoiseach who hails from County Mayo, where it rains for 260 days of the year, we wanted to really make him feel at home. But a joke's a joke, like enough. So we've had a break in the weather. The wind has dropped a little bit, and but the rain is coming down. But on the other hand, the grass in the park has never looked better. It's really a great honour to welcome you, Taoiseach, and the members of your delegation, Mary Claire O'Sullivan, Martin Fraser, and Mark Kennelly, and of course Ambassador Kelly. So you're so welcome here, and all the other dignitaries and all the other representatives of the community and those who've helped create Ireland Park. My brother Jonathan Kearns, who designed the park, Aidan Flatley, who built the park, and the members of the board of Ireland Park Foundation who are here, and all the people of the Irish community who've done so much to make this park possible. This is a place where we celebrate the extraordinary manner in which the citizens of this city welcomed 38,500 Irish men, women and children in that awful summer of 1847 when the population was only 20,000. And later on in September of this year we're going to open a second park on the site of the Toronto International Film Festival building at Adelaide and Widmer to honour the doctors and nurses and triage officers who lost their lives helping the migrants in 1847. That is a story that took place in this city 170 years ago, and it mirrors what Canada has always done down through the ages and right up until this present day. And so we here in Toronto have one of the greatest multicultural societies. It is a vibrant city where so many aspects of cultural life, business life, political life are all embraced and celebrated, and social life. And it's a vibrant, dynamic city. So it's so great to have the Taoiseach here, who has been directly responsible in initiating actions so that Irish naval vessels can be active in the Mediterranean. And in the last year to 2 years, some 15,000 refugees have been saved from the waters of the Mediterranean by the Irish Naval Service. A very poignant reminder of our own history and DNA of what happens when you have to leave your country of birth to find safety and security in another land. I can't thank enough the people of this community and of the city of Toronto who gave us so much: the land for this site for Ireland Park, the land for Grisette Park, the magnificent dock wall on the east side of Erin Quay, the dock wall that's going to be done in the next few years, we hope, and all the other great support we get from the people of Toronto and Canada. It's so much appreciated. And I would also say that we're immensely grateful to you, Taoiseach, and to the Government of Ireland for the phenomenal support that we've enjoyed from the government over the years. I believe the Government of Ireland is probably the only European government that's invested $650,000 in Toronto parks. So it's a wonderful, at a very difficult time, and that is so much appreciated. And a lot of that money ultimately went back to Ireland to pay for limestone and sculptures. But it's a measure, what we believe, of the importance that the Government of Ireland attaches to the creation of commemorative spaces and artistic experiences that summon up the emotions of what these people went through. So it's not all about the calamity of the period, it's about the story of triumph over adversity, the story of people who, despite the most awful circumstances, managed to overcome all sorts of adversity on the Atlantic and upon arrival, and go on to make such a contribution to the creation of Canada. So in the last 6-7 years, we've watched from the remove of Canada, Taoiseach, as you have struggled from the time you were elected in 2011, having received an extraordinary poisoned apple in your office of an economic crisis in Ireland. Unemployment was at 15.2%, the national debt was soaring, and now we have a situation where Ireland has a growing economy at over 4.3%. Unemployment is down to 6.2%. There's a new confidence in Ireland, and that's a large measure because of the leadership of you, Taoiseach, that determination to overcome adversity, to that determination to say no matter what the difficulty is, we will succeed, and we will reach out to our friends and relatives and family and sons and daughters around the world and succeed. And indeed, Taoiseach, you have done that admirably. So we cheer you for that and applaud you for that. And thank you for coming to Toronto.
Robert, thank you very much. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, I come from County Mayo in the west of Ireland, which was the second most affected county in the country by the Great Famine. Indeed, just about less than 10 miles from where Michael Davitt was born, who was one of the main instigators of the greatest agrarian movement in Ireland towards the end of that particular century. And he and his family, as a child, they walked to Swinford to the workhouse. When his father saw the conditions that existed there, they said they were leaving. They walked to Dublin and went over to Liverpool from Drogheda. And because he lost his arm in a weaving loom at a very young age, he was taken in by the Quakers and educated and became one of the foremost politicians of his generation. I think it's absolutely fitting that we should be here on a day when this rain comes down, because there was no sunshine in their lives. There was no sunshine. And those people who were forced to leave and required to leave because they had nothing arrived here with the generosity of the Canadian people to attempt to eke out an existence and make a new life in a new country. And I thanked your Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, yesterday for that, because Canada opened its hearts and opened its homes to the people of Ireland and the immigrants from my country. We don't forget that. And when you see your television pictures of Syria or Somalia or the Yemen, where even now human catastrophes unfold that could be prevented, we remember those who fled their homeland in a time of famine because of the mass failure of the stable diet, which was the potato crop, and came here to Canada. Thank you, Robert, for what you've done here for so many years, and thank you, Toronto, for giving this very fitting memorial here. No more than Battery Park in New York, or the Waterside Memorial in Rhode Island, or the famine depiction in Philadelphia. These commemorate times of hardship in Ireland, times of exceptional hardship for so many families whose lives literally disintegrated before their eyes. Sculptures on the docks in Dublin at the North Wall depict the emaciated figures of those who are leaving for Liverpool to travel to America and to travel to Canada. And those sculptures here, the new ones depicting one who has fallen, a pregnant woman, and obviously somebody who hails the arrival here in Canada of a new life and a new opportunity. So thank you, Robert. Thank you to the Ireland Park Foundation, their supporters and their donors, whose work has produced this wonderful memorial here, which is Kilkenny limestone in all its rawness and trueness. As you say, when the topsoil is taken off, that's what you've got left. And that depicts a part of our country, a part of the story of our country, and we're very proud to be associated with it as a memory to those who came here and to Canada who opened its doors to them. We never forget the great hunger in Ireland. Famine is known in the Irish language as An Gorta Mór, which was the great hunger, because it was the potato crop that failed over a number of years that was principally responsible for the death of so many people and the halving of our population from 8 million to 4 million between those who died and those who emigrated. And that's why it's in the Irish now to understand what humanitarian relief is. And as President Clinton often remarked, that every day since the United Nations was founded, Ireland is one country that can legitimately say that we've had people either on humanitarian missions or on peacekeeping missions in various locations around the globe. And that's why in times of catastrophe and times of human endeavour, the Irish per capita have always measured up in any way that we can to assist those who are affected now in the way our ancestors were affected in the 1840s and afterwards. So in 2008, the government formed a National Famine Commemoration Committee, which was designed specifically with the sole function of commemorating on Gorta Mór or the famine in countries that had received immigrants or emigrants from Ireland and immigrants to their place, and Canada was one of those. And each year a commemorative event takes place that recalls that. The 2015 National Commemoration of the Famine took place in St. John's in New Brunswick in the presence of Minister for Arts and Culture, Minister Humphreys, and I've no doubt, Robert, that the commemoration will return to Canada in due course as a country that had opened its doors to our people. If you like, this occasion here represents an important juncture in the development and the evolution of the story between Ireland and Canada and of Irish migration to Canada. When ports elsewhere were closed to the stricken vessels which were known as coffin ships, Canada kept her ports open despite the sickness and the disease that the people on board were undoubtedly carrying in many cases. And this is a testimony to the generosity and the spirit that we all have come to regard today as being intrinsically Canadian, and I remarked on this to Premier Trudeau yesterday. And again today, Canada is once again taking a global leadership role in migration, in taking in so many Syrian refugees and so many others and welcoming them to this great country with open arms. And it's impossible not to draw the parallels between what happened then and what is happening now. It's in the DNA of the Canadians. And as I note here, in our short rain-sodden walk, what you have here is really authentic. Obviously, can you imagine 170 years ago, just since then, the views of the people, seeing the land, seeing terra firma coming off small disease-laden ships in the hope that they might find an opportunity to travel west from here or whatever and make their way and bring those whom they left behind out here as well if they could. Clearly the 5 bronze sculptures here by Rowan Gillespie tell their own story. So we were pleased to partner with the City of Toronto in supporting Ireland Park here, which was opened by President McAleese when she came here to Canada on a presidential visit in 2007. And we're equally delighted, Robert, to help you to support the next phase of the Foundation's important work, which is a commemorative park in honour of Dr. George Robert Grasset and other Canadians who gave their lives helping Irish famine emigrants in 1847. This memorial park is, I believe, the very first of its kind, recognising the doctors and the nurses who stepped into danger voluntarily. They cared for their patients who had incurable infectious diseases and who in many cases made the ultimate sacrifice of their own lives. And this surely, if you like, was love in the meaning of the Christian word, is right and proper, that care and that sacrifice and that intrinsically Canadian generosity of spirit is commemorated and will be commemorated as stage 2 of the Foundation's work. The design for Grasset Park, which recalls the fever sheds here in the city, archives this with a sense of beauty and architectural eloquence. It will bear tangible witness to the fact that Ireland remembers that generosity and the selfless dedication of the Canadian medical staff who died and will always do so in future. So Robert, on behalf of the government of Ireland and the Irish people, I want to publicly applaud and congratulate you and the Ireland Park Foundation for their energy, for their commitment in ensuring that this shared part of our Irish history as Irish and Canadians will live on now and into the future. And I hope that those who come here on fine days, on rainy days, or on days of sunshine will understand what this memorial means, what the names etched into those stones, who they represent and where they came from. But thank you once again, Goramagiv Fad. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here on the waterfront on this day in Toronto. Goramagiv.